Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here today, my name is Odds. We are talking about the top 5 US cities on my bucket list to travel to. So maybe we'll get a couple out of the way this year. I'm not sure. I do have a solo trip kind of in the works, but it is for international, not domestic. So I'm going to do an international version of this in a couple of weeks, so be sure to stay tuned for that. If you like this video while you're watching, make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. And if you're new here today, I would love for you to subscribe. I do 2 videos a week. Travel, vlogs, beauty, Marvel, DC, Star Wars. There's something on this channel for everyone, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And if you like this, again, if you like this video while you're watching, give it a thumbs up. Y'all, it is so hot. I'm never hot. I don't understand. I'm always really cold, so I don't understand why I'm really hot right now. All right, I am going to do this in no particular order because I don't have like, they're not ranked. Like one is definitely higher than the other. It's kind of just like whatever has the cheapest flights, and there's pros and cons to each one. A couple of them are ones I definitely wouldn't solo travel to, and I'm going to tell you which ones those are. So let's start with places I would solo travel. The first one is Seattle. So things that I would want to do in Seattle, go to the original Starbucks because I'm a big Starbucks gal. I think it would be cool to go to maybe like a Kraken game, so definitely go between the months of October and April. That would be the time to go to Seattle for me. Pretty sure that's where the Big Needle is. But just also like renting a car and just driving through the Pacific Northwest I think would be really cool. So maybe like 4 or 5 days in Seattle I think, or in the Pacific Northwest in general would be really cool. But definitely spend a couple days in Seattle. I actually looked at this. This was pretty high on my list for my solo travel that I'm going to do in May, but the flights are actually more expensive than the international city that I found to go to. So yeah. And there's more pressing things I want to do in the international city before I go to Seattle. So this is definitely on my list. We'll probably look around. I know they have a big fish market. Food's really good. Seattle is pretty expensive from what I heard, but I would be really interested to check it out. Really beautiful. Pacific Northwest looks gorgeous. The other city I would want to solo travel to, which I know is probably not on many people's list, is Dallas. Now, most people want to go to Austin when they think of Texas, and I'm not saying I wouldn't want to ever go to Austin, but my mom was from Dallas, so I've always wanted to go there just to see like where she grew up, to go to a Dallas Stars game. Again, which of these places have hockey teams? Most of the places that I'm listing have hockey teams. Yeah, not all of them. Most of them, though. But they also have a Six Flags. There's a theme park there as well, which I knock off theme parks off my bucket list, so that would be really cool. Just kind of see what it's all about, the whole cowboy, cowgirl life of Texas. And I'm sure there's cool museums and stuff like that too, in Dallas-Fort Worth. Now, 3 cities that are left I would not solo travel to, either in terms of I'd want to spend them with other people, you know, spend time with other people there, but also I feel like they're kind of dangerous. The first city on this list is Chicago. Chicago is pretty high up on a list, not necessarily to solo travel, but I do have a friend that lives in Indianapolis who could come meet me in Chicago. But again, there's some issues with scheduling, stuff like that right now, so that might wait until a year in the future. But I'm really interested to go to Chicago. I've heard it's a cleaner version of New York. There's a lot of cultural impact in Chicago. It's, again, a beautiful, clean city, so that's something that would be really interesting. I am a big New York girl. I will acknowledge that it's dirty, but having been to Los Angeles and Paris, I think both of them are way dirtier. So it didn't necessarily bother me. And I lived in New York for 3 years, so it's not like the dirt bothered me that much. Yeah, I have no interest to actually see the Chicago Blackhawks, so that would be something that I don't feel like I need to go during hockey season. But flights are okay. They're a little bit more than I'd want to spend domestically, especially since the flight's not that far, but it's not terrible. I've realized I live in Atlanta. If you don't know me, again, my name is Odds, but I'm 25. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I've lived in Florida, Georgia, and New York. And Atlanta is the most expensive city to fly out of, compared to both Orlando and New York City. Atlanta is the most expensive place to fly out of and fly into. So, not cool. The only affordable flights are to Orlando. And I know flights are skyrocketing right now, so it's not attainable for a lot of people, but these are just places I'd want to go, and I'm going to try to travel more, so we'll see. But yeah. Another city that's pretty high on my list, that's probably one of my top ones on my list, but I feel like I would want to be with other people. I don't feel like I would be very safe, is New Orleans. Not to say that New Orleans is necessarily dangerous. It's just, New Orleans is a party city. I would want to be having a good time, and I don't think drinking and being alone mix very well. So unless you're drinking in your hotel room, which is not something I want to do, I would want to go see jazz clubs and go see the history, do some ghost tours, stuff like that. I just think it would be better to be with a group of people. Big bachelorette sort of city. So maybe in the future, if any of my friends decide to get married and want to go to New Orleans, maybe that's where I'll go. Also would love to eat Cajun food. I like Cajun food. I like beignets. I would love to be actually in New Orleans for my Disney trip in December. We're actually staying at Port Orleans. So it's has a New Orleans feel, but we're not really in New Orleans. So I'd like to actually go to New Orleans and compare the two. And the last one on my list is Las Vegas. Now, again, similar to New Orleans, gambling, drinking, going to shows doesn't really seem like something to do by yourself. So I'd like to go with a group of people. I have been to a casino once, twice on cruise ships. They were quite fun. But again, I'm not going to do that by myself. I'd never done it by myself. I wouldn't do it by myself. It's just dangerous, financially, and you don't want to seem like you're by yourself, just in a crowd full of people. That is it. Those are my top 5 cities in the US that are on my bucket list. What cities are on your bucket list? I've been to, like I've said, I've been to New York City, I've been to Savannah, been to Los Angeles, been to Phoenix, been to Houston, been to a lot of different cities. So if I didn't list yours, I probably have been there, been to Boston. But yeah, what are on your bucket list? Let me know down below. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye.